Welcome back, everybody. You know what time it is. It's another episode of The Human Side of Marketing. I'm your co-host, Chris Angel, and I'm here with your host, Kurt Stockwell. What's up, Kurt?
Chris, good to see you.
Good to see you too. Number 60.
60. Hey, we did it. It's
happy
April
birthday.
20. Yeah. Ooh, no, not yet.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
60 episodes, not 60 years old.
Right.
Although I feel like, yeah, right. Yeah. If I look like this at 60, I won't be disappointed. That's for sure.
You dye your beard? What is that? Are you?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Right.
That's good. You're so hip for 60.
Right. Not 60 yet.
60
I'm still in my 40s.
60 episodes. All right. 60 episodes, 60. Which is a milestone, by the way. It's so great. Congratulations. Big number.
Yes. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you for being here for all 60.
Oh, absolutely. I have a question before we dive into content. I want to know what it's like for you to have done 60 episodes. Like, was it just all a piece of cake, or what's it like showing up 60 episodes in a row?
It was not all a piece of cake. I do enjoy doing this. But honestly, and I think we've talked about it before, it forces me to stay sharp, and it forces me to dive into aspects of what I do and try to understand them more so I can talk to other people about it. If that makes sense, rather than just kind of going through the minutia. Why do we do this? Why does it matter? How can other people do this? So yeah, it's been fun. I've enjoyed it, but it has definitely, to be totally honest, there's been times when I'm like, I don't want to record this podcast.
Yeah.
But every time we get done, I'm always glad we did.
I think it's human nature. I think you could look at that in anything in your business and be like, oh man, I didn't want to show up and do that. But I think the thing that has made this work for 60 episodes is having a structure, having some collaboration. When you just leave it up to yourself to get it done, it's easy to say no. But when there's a set time, there's a structure, there's a whole thing, it's easy. And that's a teachable moment in itself. We all have things we know we want to move forward. It's just, can you create the structure? If you go to look at Atomic Habits, by the way, did you read Atomic Habits?
I haven't read Atomic Habits. I'm going to write that down though.
Yeah. James Clear. It's pretty popular right now, but the whole thing about just make it easy for yourself to get it done. And I think when you have a structure and a time set, like we've had for 60 episodes, it just makes it easier than you having to do it yourself and use discipline and energy and willpower to try to force it through.
Yep.
You get to hang out with your buddy, Chris. So it's not so hard.
That's right. And with that said, and and I know that this is the last episode we're going to do together.
Yeah.
Because
I'm crying over here.
We set all that up and to say that this is the last episode we're doing together, but it's true. And the topic today, again, as you know, is break things. Mm-hmm. The topic is break things. So, what I wanted to talk about today is not only the fact that I'm going to transition the human side of marketing into a different format, kind of more of an interview format where I'm going to be interviewing other people in business about marketing that works and being more human in your marketing. And I want you to come on the show sometime. I get to interview you. But the point today is to grow, sometimes you need to break things. And where I got this idea is, you're familiar with SpaceX, right?
Yeah, love it.
Elon Musk. I mean, that guy is just so wicked smart. So SpaceX has a thing called Starship, and and I don't totally understand all of the aspects of it. My employee Jeffrey is totally geeked out on it, and he loves it. So he was telling me like, hey, there's this thing that SpaceX is doing, and they're trying to take a rocket ship here. If you're watching, I've got my pen here. They're trying to take a rocket ship up, make it go horizontal, and then bring it back down vertical, landing on the same pad that it launched from.
Yeah.
And the reason why they're trying to do this is to figure out how to reuse these boosters that send things into space, right?
Yeah.
And then also learn how to shoot a rocket up into the atmosphere and get to the other side of the world in minutes, and then land on a landing pad on the other side of the world.
So cool.
So yeah, Elon Musk. I mean, he's never like binging on Netflix. He's shooting rockets into the sky.
That's amazing.
But what?
Yeah, go ahead.
So why this matters with breaking things is the entire goal of the last two starships is what they call this project that they sent up into the sky, sent it up, went horizontal, brought back down. They knew that they were both going to crash. And so literally they tried to land it back onto the landing pad, and it came in too fast the first time and crashed and gigantic explosion. And then the next time they tried it, same thing. They got a little bit closer the next time and a gigantic explosion. But they're doing this whole process knowing it's going to break to figure out how to make it work.
Yeah.
And I thought there's something there that we could talk about.
Yeah.
So that's what we're talking about today.
Yeah. I think that's so healthy. We're sort of in we've been stuck in I think with the internet and where the connectivity and we're able to see each other through social platforms, the comparison game has gone off the charts. And so I think a lot of people are paralyzed with fear to launch something and have it not go right. I think it's so freeing to say like, no, we're going to launch it and we're expecting it to fail, but we're going to learn something along the way.
Yep. That's it. That's it. And yeah, you're so right. I didn't even think about that aspect of the fact that, we're in this culture where everybody's visible. Everything that you do is visible. And people don't want to be embarrassed. People don't want to see others to see them as a failure. Yeah. And, so, like I said, even it's kind of poetic that with what I'm doing right now with this podcast is the next phase of this. I mean, it might not work.
Sure.
Done 60 episodes, and maybe the 3 episodes from now, it's going to crash and burn. Hopefully not. I don't think it will, but I need to try some new stuff, try some different things. And so maybe it'll break, and that's okay.
I think what is important isn't as much the way it performs, but the heart in which you're doing it. Like if the heart is to, for example, if it's Starship and the heart of that project is to make travel more efficient so I can get to the other side of the world in a couple hours instead of 24 hours on a Boeing or something. The heart of that continues to move the project forward, even if there are 100 crashes in. So you do 3 episodes in a new format and you're like, well, that maybe it's not exactly what I want, but the heart of it is, how do I keep bringing value to my people? Well, then you'll keep going.
Right. Exactly. And I think that when taking this back to a marketing conversation, the human side of marketing is being more human in the way that you bring your message to the world. You're going to have to try things that won't ultimately work.
Yep.
But you're going to learn what doesn't work. And, for a lot of businesses, maybe that's getting into a social media platform or getting into maybe doing live events, or maybe doing some public speaking, or maybe even launching a product that you put it out there into the world and the world says, no, I don't want this. And then you modify it a little bit and then you put it out again and they go, oh, I do want that. And the only way you get there is from trying stuff and being willing to let it fail, being willing to let it break, and being willing to put yourself out there and say, like I said, into that from a marketing standpoint, putting your message out to a certain demographic maybe, and they reject your product, and that's okay, because then that's not where I need to be. I need to shift over here and be over here.
Yeah. I think that's so healthy. Have you ever looked at Six Sigma or lean manufacturing? I mean, so much of that is about doing these sprints, and you do the sprints in a short amount of time and with minimum viable product or minimum viable message or minimum viable whatever, to see what works, what doesn't work. And the whole thing is research. The whole thing is collecting data on like, how do we make it better without going like whole hog on trying to like massive budgets, massive projects before you release something. Like release it, see what works, what doesn't. Exactly what you're saying.
Yep. And, related to a messaging kind of scenario, which is what we help businesses do, is I think a lot of business, well, here's a perfect example. COVID has forced so many businesses into doing Zoom meetings, right? Doing, having their employees be out of the office and working from home. Right. And so a lot of businesses were doing that prior to almost a year ago. Can you believe this has been a year that we've been doing this whole pandemic thing? But prior to, a lot of businesses were like, yeah, this is what we do, how we do it. We use Zoom calls. And there was a lot of businesses, they're like, and there's no way we could do that because we would break.
Mm.
And then they were forced into doing it through the pandemic. And they realized, oh, this actually works. And we're more efficient, and our employees are happier, and, we're actually more productive. And there's times where, you're forced into it, crossing your fingers, it doesn't break. And then there's times where, hopefully, after this whole pandemic and this whole coronavirus thing that we've been dealing with, once the dust settles on that, I hope there's some businesses and small businesses, large businesses that go, let's be a little bit more risky, because we were forced to be risky and it worked out really well for us.
Yeah.
And that's going to make gigantic revenue gains and changes in our business. Let's stay risky. Let's be willing to break stuff.
Yeah. Well, again, to come back to Jim Collins, I think when you preserve the core of who you are while stimulating progress for what's coming or what's next, it's being risky inside the core of who you are. Like the comparison companies in his study were chasing risky things without regard for what their values were and what their theme, their mission statement, right? They had abandoned the identity of who they were and what they were doing for the next great thing. But what I love about your approach, I know that you help people stay true to their identity, their mission, what they're up to, and at the same time inviting them in to consider, like, hey, let's look at where this goes. I think that's the value of having you guys as a coach and as a guide, is starting to, that's always why you hire a guide and a coach, is to push the boundaries of how I see things. Help me see further, help me see what I can't see. And I think that's why it's so valuable to work with you guys.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And that's a good transition into, what we've been doing for, even in my business. We've been doing just kind of deliverables for a lot of years, and we're transitioning now into kind of a consulting role, coaching role, helping businesses go find, maybe have those conversations like, hey, I think you've got an aspect of, or a section of your demographic that are over here. Let's take this great messaging that we've worked on for your website and let's go put it out there and let's see if it breaks. And if it does, we'll learn some lessons. If it doesn't, man, that could be a big deal, a big revenue opportunity for you. But having somebody along with you to kind of help guide you into that, I think is what a lot of businesses need to be willing to do.
What's that saying about being inside your own ketchup bottle? You can't see the label from inside the bottle.
Yeah, I don't know. I often say that it's hard to understand, how people perceive your business when your own business is 2 inches away from your face all day long, and so having an outside perspective, somebody coming in and going, okay, let me try to understand what you do as a kind of an ignorant fool when it comes to your business, and having somebody walk in from an outside perspective and say, I'm noticing these flaws, and let's fix them. And then when you do fix them, then you can be a little bit more risky. I think maybe that's one reason, honestly, why a lot of people aren't willing to break stuff, is because they feel like they're on the verge of crumbling all day long, every day, because they don't take the time to put a foundation underneath them.
Well, all the more reason in that scenario to have somebody from the outside come in, because if you're so scared or nervous, which is makes sense to be scared and nervous to change something if things are already sort of shaky or fragile. But when you start playing not to lose, you're like, I can't make a move outside of what I'm doing because I'm afraid the next move might be too risky and it will cause it to crumble. All the more reason to have somebody from the outside come in and start to bring some perspective and some calm, right? Some healthy counter perspectives to you, so that you can start to see, oh, okay, I can do that. I could let that go and I could pursue this part. And really good.
Right.
How do so you can work with people even in the beginning stages of trying to sort all that out, right? Like they don't have to come to you having a full baked idea of what they want. Can't they just come to you and start to say, hey, I'm thinking about this. Like, what do you see? Is there a way to work together?
Yeah. So like a perfect example is a business that does want to kind of put themselves out there and see if it breaks
Yeah.
is, a lot of times businesses are bringing a new product out into the marketplace and they need to get some messaging in place to do that. So if you went to herostory.coach, you can learn more about how I could work with you to help bring that product out there and connect with you with maybe that new customer base, or kind of honing and fixing what you currently have in your business. Maybe the thing that you've been worried about breaking is breaking free from trying to do it yourself all the time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe you're maybe you're a control freak, right? And
What?
you need to have somebody come in and take the reins, take the controls away from you and say, let me help you do your marketing so you can focus on doing what you're good at. And that's running your business. Yep. You don't have to do everything. And I think a lot of times people who are like, I have to control everything is because they don't want things to break.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it's so true. Like, I hear the word control freak and which I've been that. I'm probably recovering from that. But it's not because it's malicious. It's because I have so much invested in what I've built and I'm trying to make sure that it keeps going. But this goes back to John Maxwell's law of the lid, like you become the lid on the growth of your own company because you just won't let go of the reins. You're holding on so tight so that you can keep it going, but you've kind of hit the ceiling of what you can naturally do in your own abilities. You got to start bringing in other people into that.
Yep. Yeah. And I think that when you do that, you're going to be, tense that it's going to break, and you're going to realize, oh my gosh, not only did it not break, but it's growing farther or it's going farther and growing larger than I ever would have expected.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
So good. Well, how do people reach out to you if they want to?
Again, you could go to herostory.coach and connect there. I'd love to have a conversation about what you're wanting to break. Yeah. Or see if it doesn't break. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Kurt, it's been an awesome 60 episodes. I wish you all the best in your future episodes and would love to come back as a guest, but it's been an honor to be here for 60 episodes and keep going. So good.
Yeah. Appreciate it, Chris. Thank you for everything that you have brought to our conversations. Appreciate it, man.
All right. Take care.
Bye.